20 minutes later, Mama Helen, the triplets, and two enormous food flasks were loaded into Mama Helen's sleek black Mercedes. Johnson, the driver, a middle-aged man with kind eyes and the patient expression of someone who had worked for Mama Helen long enough to know when to talk and when to keep quiet, settled into the driver's seat. "Where are we going, Ma?" Johnson asked, adjusting the rear-view mirror. "The children will direct you," Mama Helen said. Settling into the back seat, the triplets squeezed in beside her, their small bodies pressing against her soft, warm sides. "Children, tell Johnson where your house is." "Yes, Ma," Sam said, pushing his glasses up his nose. "Uncle Johnson, turn left when we reach the end of this street, then go straight until you see the big junction with the first bank. After that, turn right. We live in Tejuosho area. It's not very far from here." "Okay, young man," Johnson said with a smile, starting the engine. The car purred to life, smooth and quiet, nothing like the rattling Danfos and Okadas the children were used to. As they drove, Mama Helen held the triplets' hands. Her grip was firm but gentle, like she was afraid if she let go, they might disappear like smoke. "Listen to me carefully, my darlings," she said, her voice softer now, more grandmotherly than commanding. "When we get to your house, I'm going to meet your mother and give her this food. But I want you to know something important. Everything is going to be okay now. You hear me? Everything is going to be okay. Your mother is going to eat. She's going to get proper medical care for that leg. And you children," her voice got thick with emotion, "you children are never going to have to steal bread again. Never. Do you understand me?" "Yes, Ma," they whispered together, tears streaming down their faces again. Ben wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "But Ma, how do we know this is real? How do we know we're not dreaming?" Mama Helen smiled and pinched his cheek gently. "Does that feel like a dream?" "Ow, no, Ma." "Then it's real. Now stop crying before you flood my car. This leather is expensive." Despite their tears, the children laughed. As Johnson drove deeper into Lagos, the scenery began to change dramatically. It was like watching a movie transition from color to black and white. The wide, clean roads of the estate gave way to narrower streets filled with potholes that looked like they'd been dug by giants with shovels. The beautiful houses with their manicured lawns and high fences became cramped buildings, squeezed together so tightly you wondered how people breathed. The smell changed too, from the fresh scent of flowers and cut grass to the distinctly Lagos mixture of burning trash, frying akara, exhaust fumes, and the ever-present stench of gutters that hadn't been cleaned since the last government promised to clean them, which was probably never. "Turn here, sir," Lily said, pointing to a narrow street that looked more like an alley. "That building with the yellow paint, that's where we live." The building was a two-story structure that looked like it had given up on life sometime in the 1980s and had been dying slowly ever since. The yellow paint was so faded it was almost white in some places and completely gone in others, revealing the gray cement underneath like exposed bones. The windows had metal bars, some bent, some missing entirely. A few had curtains. Most just had old clothes or newspapers taped over them for privacy. Johnson parked the car outside, and immediately the street came alive with activity. Children who had been playing football with a deflated ball stopped mid-kick to stare. A group of young men who had been gathered under a tree playing cards looked up. Women who had been sitting outside their shops, selling everything from groundnuts to phone credit, craned their necks to see a Mercedes-Benz. A nice Mercedes-Benz. In this neighborhood, it was like a spaceship had landed. Mama Helen climbed out of the bar, her walking stick in one hand, her expensive handbag in the other. She looked around at the cramped street, at the children playing in the dirt, at the overflowing gutter running alongside the road, at the tangle of illegal electrical wires hanging so low you could probably touch them if you jumped. Her face showed no judgment, no disgust, just sadness. deep, profound sadness. "This is where you live?" she asked the triplets softly. They nodded, their heads down, shame written all over their small faces. "Show me," Mama Helen said simply. "Show me your home." "Yes, Ma." "Johnson, please help us with the flasks." "Yes, Ma," Johnson said, lifting the two heavy containers from the trunk. They were still warm, and the smell wafting from them, jollof rice, fried chicken, plantain beef stew, made every head on the street turn. They walked toward the building. The triplets led the way, followed by Mama Helen with her walking stick tapping against the uneven ground. Tap, tap, tap. And Johnson bringing up the rear with the flasks. They climbed the narrow staircase to the second floor. The stairs were so steep and narrow that Mama Helen had to be careful with each step, gripping the rusty railing with one hand and using her walking stick with the other. "These stairs are a death trap," she muttered. "One wrong step and you're meeting your ancestors." "Who built this place? A blind man?" The children would have laughed if they weren't so nervous. They reached the second floor landing, really just a narrow corridor with 4 doors, 2 on each side. The walls were stained with water damage and mold. The single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling was dead, leaving the hallway dim even in the afternoon. "This one, Ma," Ben said, stopping in front of the last door on the left. "This is our house." The door was old, ancient old, the kind of old where you wondered if it was original to the building or if someone had salvaged it from somewhere else. The wood was warped and cracked. The bottom corner was broken, looked like someone had kicked it at some point. The handle was loose and rusty. Mama Helen looked at that door for a long moment, her jaw tightening. "Knock," she said quietly. "Let your mother know you're home." Ben raised his small fist and knocked. "Mama! Mama! We're back!" For a moment there was silence. Then they heard movement inside. Fast movement. Panicked movement. Then a voice, Grace's voice, shrill with worry and relief mixed together. "Children! Is that you? Where have you been?" The door flew open so fast it almost hit the wall, and there stood Grace. If the children looked like they'd been through hard times, their mother looked like she'd been through a full-scale war. She was young, couldn't have been more than 30 years old, but she looked 10 years older. Her face was thin, the kind of thin that came from missing too many meals, cheekbones jutting out sharply, eyes sunken with dark circles underneath, so deep they looked like bruises. Her lips were cracked and dry. Her hair was wrapped in a faded headscarf that had probably been red once but was now a dull brownish pink. Strands of hair had escaped and hung limply around her face. She was wearing an old wrapper tied around her waist and in a t-shirt that had been washed so many times the original color was anyone's guess. The words on the shirt, something about a church program from 2015, were so faded you could barely read them. But the worst part, the part that made Mama Helen's heart clench like a fist, was her leg. Her right ankle was swollen to twice its normal size, maybe 3 times. It looked like someone had taken a balloon, shoved it under her skin, and inflated it until it was about to pop. The skin was stretched tight and shiny, with angry red and purple discoloration spreading up her calf. It was wrapped in a dirty cloth that might have been white once, but was now a grayish-brown color. She was leaning heavily against the door frame, all her weight on her left leg, unable to put even a tiny bit of pressure on the right one. And her face, showed a mixture of emotions so complex it was like watching a whole movie in 5 seconds. Relief that her children were home, joy that they were safe, confusion about the strangers with them, worry about what trouble they might have gotten into, shame that strangers were seeing her like this, poor, struggling, broken. "Where have you been?" she demanded again, her voice breaking. She grabbed all 3 children at once, pulling them into a desperate hug, her thin arms trembling. "Do you know how worried I was? I woke up and you were on. No, nothing. I've been looking everywhere. I couldn't walk properly to search, but I tried. I asked everyone. I was about to drag myself to the police station. Mama, we're okay, Ben said quickly, his voice muffled against her shoulder. We're fine, Sam added. We're sorry we scared you, Lily said, starting to cry again. Grace held them for another long moment, her own tears falling into their hair, before she finally looked up and noticed the two other people standing in her doorway. An elderly woman in an expensive-looking wrapper and headscarf, holding a walking stick in a fancy handbag. And a man, a driver judging by his uniform, holding two enormous food containers that were giving off the most delicious smell Grace had experienced in, she couldn't even remember how long. I don't understand, Grace said slowly, her voice cautious now. She loosened her grip on the children, but didn't let go completely, as if afraid they might vanish again. Children, who are these people? What's going on? Are you in trouble? Did you do something? Her eyes went wide with sudden fear. Oh God, did you steal something? Is this woman from the police? Are you here to arrest them? Please, Ma, please, they're good children. Whatever they did, I'll pay for it. Just please don't take them. Nobody is taking anybody anywhere, Mama Helen said quickly, her voice warm and reassuring. Calm down, my dear. Breathe. Your children are not in trouble. Grace looked like she didn't believe that for a second. My name is Mama Helen, the old woman continued, stepping closer on. I met your children today. At the supermarket, they looked hungry, so I took them to my house and fed them, that's all. And now I've come to meet you, the mother who raised such sweet, polite, wonderful children, and to bring you some food. Grace's face went through another rapid succession of emotions. Confusion, disbelief, suspicion, embarrassment, gratitude. Ma, I'm so sorry, she stammered, her face flushing with shame. I'm so sorry they troubled you. I don't know what they told you, but we don't usually accept charity. We're managing, we're fine. Things are just a bit tight right now, but we're fine. I'm sorry they bothered you. They didn't bother me, Mama Helen said gently. They were hungry, so I fed them. What's wrong with that? Any human being with a heart would do the same. But Ma, what happened to your leg? Mama Helen interrupted, her eyes fixed on Grace's grotesquely swollen ankle. Grace looked down as if she'd forgotten about it. Oh, it's nothing, Ma, just a small accident. It's getting better. Getting better? Mama Helen's voice went up several octaves. My dear girl, that ankle is the size of a pawpaw, a big pawpaw, the kind you see in the market and think, who is going to buy this giant thing? That is not getting better. That is getting worse. It's not that bad, Ma. Not that bad. I've seen smaller footballs. If that thing swells anymore, you'll need a wheelbarrow to carry your leg around. Despite the situation, despite everything, Grace found herself almost wanting to smile at the old woman's dramatic description. May I come in? Mama Helen asked, her tone softening again. Please, I'd like to talk to you properly. And poor Johnson here, his arms are about to fall off from carrying these heavy flasks. If his arms fall off, I'll have to find a new driver. And I like Johnson. He doesn't talk too much. Grace hesitated for only a moment before nodding and stepping back. Well, hopping back on one leg. Yes, Ma, please. Come in, I'm sorry. The house is not... It's not much. It's not what you're probably used to. A home is a home, Mama Helen said firmly, walking into the apartment. There's no shame in home, no matter what it looks like. They entered, and Mama Helen's heart broke all over again. The apartment wasn't just small, it was tiny, microscopic. A shoebox would have felt spacious compared to this. It was basically two rooms connected by a narrow space that was trying desperately to be a hallway, but was really just 3 feet of empty space. The first room, which had to serve as a living room, bedroom, dining room, and kitchen all at once, was maybe 10 feet by 12 feet. Maybe. Possibly smaller. Against one wall was a single mattress on the floor, thin, worn, with visible stains that spoke of years of use. A faded blanket was folded neatly on top. One pillow. Just one. For 4 people. In the corner was a small wooden crate turned on its side to serve as a makeshift shelf. On it sat a small kerosene stove, the kind that cost maybe 500 naira at the market. Next to it, a dented pot, a small frying pan with the coating peeling off, 3 plastic plates, the kind you got free with a big purchase of detergent, 4 cups, all mismatched, 2 spoons, 1 knife. That was their entire kitchen. Another wooden crate, this one standing upright, held their pantry. A quarter bag of rice, a small bottle of vegetable oil that looked almost empty, a tin of tomato paste, some Maggi cubes, salt in a tied plastic bag. That was all. Their food clothes hung on a rope stretched across one part of the room. Pants, shirts, wrappers, all worn and faded but clean, freshly washed, still slightly damp. A plastic bucket sat near the kerosene stove, half full of water. A small wooden table with 3 legs, the 4th corner was propped up with a piece of wood, and 3 mismatched stools. That was everything. Everything they owned in the world fit into one tiny room. But here's what struck Mama Helen most. It was clean, spotlessly, meticulously, desperately clean. The floor was swept so thoroughly there wasn't a speck of dust. The few possessions they had were organized with military precision. The mattress, though old, had no trash around it. The clothes on the rope were arranged neatly. Even the kerosene stove, which was old and dented, was wiped clean. This woman, this struggling, hungry, injured woman, had kept her home clean even when she had nothing else. That told Mama Helen everything she needed to know about Grace's character. "Please, Ma, sit," Grace said, gesturing to the mattress, since there was nowhere else for an elderly woman to sit. The stools were so rickety, they looked like they might collapse under a strong breeze. "I'm sorry I don't have anywhere more comfortable." "This is fine," Mama Helen said, settling onto the mattress with a soft oof and a loud crack from her knees that sounded like fireworks going off. "My knees are old. They complain about everything. Don't mind them." Grace hobbled over to one of the stools and sat down carefully, wincing as she moved her bad leg. She couldn't hide the pain anymore. Johnson set the food flasks down on the small table and quietly stood by the door, giving them space. The triplets stood uncertainly in the middle of the room, looking between their mother and their new grandmother, not sure what to do or say. Mama Helen looked at Grace seriously. "My dear, what happened to your leg? And I want the truth. Not, it's fine. Not, it's getting better. The truth." Grace sighed, knowing she couldn't lie to this fierce old woman. I was working, Ma. I sell fruits by the roadside, near the junction on Herbert Macaulay Way. Last week I was rushing to catch a customer. A woman who wanted to buy oranges, but it was in a hurry. I was running after her, and I didn't see the pothole. It was huge, Ma, like someone had dug a hole to China and just left it there. My foot went straight in and my ankle twisted. I heard it pop like a rubber band snapping. She looked down at her swollen ankle with disgust and shame. "I couldn't afford to go to hospital. My hospital is too expensive. My neighbor, Mama Ngozi, she's very kind. She helped me. She rubbed some herbs on it and wrapped it with cloth. She said it should get better in a few weeks." "A few weeks?" Mama Helen's voice rose again. "My dear, that ankle is not going to get better with herbs. Look at it. Look at it. It's the color of an angry sunset. Purple and red and, all kinds of colors that skin should not be. If that gets infected, they'll have to cut it off. Do you want to lose your leg? Grace's face went pale. Ma, I don't have money for hospital. I can barely afford food. Hospital it's impossible. I have money, Mama Helen declared, her walking stick tapping the floor for emphasis. Tap. The sound echoed in the small room. God blessed me with money so I could use it to help people. And you, my dear, need help. So we are going to the hospital. Today. Right now. But first, she turned to Johnson, open those flasks. This child needs to eat. But Grace started to protest. Tap, tap. Went the walking stick. Grace's mouth snapped shut. That's better, Mama Helen said with satisfaction. You learned fast. I like that. Now let me ask you something. When did you last eat a proper meal? And don't lie to me. I've lived 73 years on this earth. I can smell a lie from across Lagos. Grace hesitated, her eyes darting to her children. The triplets looked at each other, then at their mother, then at Grandma. Tell her the truth, Mama, Ben said quietly. Grace's shoulders slumped in defeat. I ate yesterday morning, Ma. Mama, no! All three triplets exploded at once, their voices so loud in the small space that Grace jumped. She's lying, Ma, Lily shouted, tears streaming down her face again. She hasn't eaten in 3 days, three whole days. Mama gave us the last piece of bread 3 days ago, Sam added, his voice breaking. She said she already ate, but we know she was lying. We heard her stomach making noises at night. Loud noises, like NEPA generator when they bring light back. Grr, 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 grr. He made the sound effect. And despite everything, it was so accurate that it would have been funny in any other situation. Your stomach was crying, Mama, Ben said. We could hear it through the wall. We share this room. We hear everything. Grace covered her face with her hands and started to cry. Not delicate, pretty crying, ugly crying. The kind of crying that came from the depths of your soul. Deep, wrenching sobs that shook her whole thin body. I'm sorry, she choked out between sobs, her voice muffled by her hands. I'm so sorry. I'm a terrible mother, the worst mother. I can't even feed my own children. What kind of mother can't feed her children? I'm useless. Completely useless. I'm a failure, a waste. I failed them. I failed my babies. They deserve so much better than me. Stop that! Mama Helen's voice cracked through the room like thunder, sharp and commanding. She reached over and pulled Grace's hands away from her face, forcing the younger woman to look at her. Stop that! Right now, you listen to me, and you listen good. You are not useless. You are not a failure. But I can't even... You are a warrior, Mama Helen continued, her voice fierce, her eyes burning with intensity. Do you hear me? A warrior. You are working 3 jobs. 3. Do you know how many people would collapse after one? You're cleaning offices at night when normal people are sleeping. You're selling fruits in the hot sun during the day. You're washing clothes until your hands are raw on weekends. All while taking care of 3 children. Lone, no husband, no help, nothing. Do you know how strong you have to be to do that? But they're hungry because life is unfair. Mama Helen's grip on Grace's hands tightened, not painfully, but firmly, grounding her. Because the system failed you. Because this useless country doesn't take care of its people. Because that irresponsible goat of a man who got you pregnant, may his head never find peace on any pillow, abandoned you like a coward. But you didn't fail. You are still here, still fighting, still making sure your children have clothes to wear, making sure they go to school, keeping this place clean even when you have nothing. That makes you strong, not useless. Grace looked up at Mama Helen with tears streaming down her face, her lips trembling. I don't even know you, Ma. I don't understand why you're being so kind to us. What do you want from me? Nobody does something for nothing. What do you want? Mama Helen's fierce expression softened. She released Grace's hands and gently cupped the younger woman's tear-stained face. I don't want anything from you, my dear child, she said softly, except maybe for you to let me help you. You see, many, many years ago, when I was not much older than you are now, I was in trouble. Bad trouble. My husband had just died. I had a small child to take care of. No money, no food, nobody to turn to. I was ready to give up, ready to just stop. Her eyes got distant, remembering. Then someone helped me, a stranger, a woman I didn't know. She fed me, gave me money, helped me start a small business, changed my entire life. If not for her, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have anything. My grandson wouldn't exist. Everything I have, everything, is because someone showed me kindness when I needed it most. She focused back on Grace. That woman is long dead now. I can't repay her, but I can repay the kindness. I can help someone else the way she helped me. And that someone is you. That's all I want, my dear, to help you, to make sure you and your children are okay. Nothing more, nothing less. Grace's tears fell harder, but now they were different tears, not tears of shame or despair, tears of relief, of hope, of overwhelming, impossible to understand gratitude. Now, Mama Helen said, standing up with another loud crack from her knees, enough crying. Crying doesn't solve problems. Action solves problems. Johnson, open those flasks. Children, get plates. Your mother is going to eat. Right now, this minute, and I don't want it to hear any arguments. Johnson opened the first flask, and the smell that filled that tiny room was heavenly jollof rice. Perfect, aromatic jollof rice with the slightly burnt bits at the bottom that every Nigerian knew were the best parts. He opened the second flask fried chicken, golden brown, still warm, the skin crispy and perfect. Fried plantain, sweet and caramelized. Beef stew with chunks of meat that looked like they actually had meat on them, not just bones. Fresh coleslaw, crunchy and colorful. Grace's stomach made a sound so loud that everyone in the room heard it clearly. Grrr. It sounded like an angry lion that had been starved for a month. Grace's face turned bright red with embarrassment. She looked like she wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. But Mama Helen just laughed, not a mocking laugh, a warm, understanding laugh. See, she said, pointing at Grace's stomach. Your body is telling you to eat. Your stomach is screaming. It's sending you a telegram. It's holding up a sign. It's saying, woman, feed me, or I will start eating your other organs. Now stop being stubborn and eat. The children were already moving, getting one of the plastic plates and serving their mother. Ben scooped a massive portion of jollof rice onto the plate. Sam added 3 pieces of chicken. 3, which was more chicken than they'd eaten in the last month combined. Lily carefully placed plantains around the rice and then added a huge spoonful of beef stew on top. The plate was overflowing with food. Ben handed it to his mother with shaking hands. Eat, Mama, please. Grace looked at the plate, then at the children, then at Mama Helen, then back at the plate. Her hands were trembling as she took it. She picked up one of the plastic spoons, scooped up some rice and chicken, brought it slowly to her mouth, like she couldn't quite believe this was real. She took one bite, and her eyes closed. The taste exploded in her mouth like fireworks. The perfectly seasoned rice, the tender, juicy chicken, the sweet plantain, the rich, flavorful stew. When was the last time she'd eaten something this good? This real, not leftover gari, not watery soup with more water than ingredients, not half a stale loaf of bread, but actual, proper, delicious food. She took another bite and another, and then something inside her broke. She started crying again. But this time she didn't stop eating. She cried and ate at the same time, tears dropping into the rice, her whole body shaking with sobs, shoveling food into her mouth like someone who had been starving, because she had been starving. For 3 days, she'd eaten nothing. Before that, just scraps, leftovers the children didn't finish, water to fill her stomach when the hunger got too bad. Now she was eating, really eating, and she couldn't stop. She couldn't stop eating, and she couldn't stop crying. The triplets watched their mother, and they started crying too. Quiet crying, the kind where tears just fall without sound because your heart is too full of emotion for noise. They'd seen Mama tired before. They'd seen her in pain. They'd seen her struggle. But they'd never seen her cry while eating. And somehow that made everything real. Made them understand just how hungry she'd been. How bad things had really gotten. How close they'd come to losing her. Johnson, standing by the door, felt his own eyes getting wet. He'd worked for Mama Helen for 15 years. He'd seen her help many people. But this was different. This family needed help so desperately it hurt to watch. Mama Helen sat back down on the mattress next to Grace and gently rubbed her back in slow, soothing circles, like a mother comforting a child. "It's okay," she said softly, her own voice thick with emotion. "It's okay now, let it out. Cry if you need to, but eat. You need your strength. Everything is going to be okay now, I promise you. Everything is going to be okay." Grace nodded, unable to speak, and kept eating and crying, eating and crying. She ate until the plate was empty, until her stomach, which had been hollow and aching for days, was finally full. She set the plate down with shaking hands and looked up at Mama Helen with a face wet with tears and gratitude and disbelief. "Thank you, Ma," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "Thank you so much. I don't know how to ever repay you." "You don't need to repay me," Mama Helen said firmly, "but you do need to let me take you to the hospital. Right now. That ankle is not okay, and don't you dare argue with me." "But Ma, the hospital bill, I can't afford." "Did I ask you if you can afford it?" Mama Helen's voice got that sharp edge again. Her walking stick tapped the floor. "Tap. I said I will pay. Now you have two choices. Choice number one, you come with me peacefully to the hospital like a sensible human being. Choice number two, I break your other good leg with my walking stick and then drag you to the emergency ward by myself, and they'll have to put both your legs in casts. Which one do you prefer?" Grace's eyes went wide. "Ma, I'm serious. Don't test me. I'm 73 years old, which means I've lived long enough not to care about social niceties anymore. I will break your leg and drag you. Don't think I won't." Despite everything, the tears, the pain, the overwhelming emotions, Grace found herself almost smiling. "I believe you, Ma." "Good. So which is it? Coming peacefully or getting dragged?" "Coming peacefully, Ma." "Excellent choice. Very smart. I knew you had a good head on your shoulders." "Johnson, help this stubborn girl stand up. Children, get your mother's slippers. We're going to the hospital now." And that's how Grace found herself 30 minutes later, sitting in a fancy hospital waiting room she could never have afforded in a million years, with her 3 children beside her and a fierce old woman who had appeared in her life like an angel sent by God himself. A tall man in his 50s with kind eyes and gentle hands examined Grace's ankle and shook his head gravely. "Madam, this is very serious," he said, looking at her with concern. "This is not just a sprain. There's possibly a hairline fracture here. The swelling is severe and there are early signs of infection. Another week without treatment and you could have had permanent damage. You might have lost full function of this ankle. You might have needed surgery. Grace's face went pale. Surgery? Yes, thank God you came when you did. We need to put this in a cast immediately. Start you on antibiotics to fight the infection. Give you pain medication. And you need complete rest, no walking, for at least 3 weeks, maybe 4. 4 weeks? Grace's voice rose in panic. But doctor, I have 3 I have to work. I have children to feed. I can't just not work for 4 weeks. Madam, listen to me carefully, Dr. Okafor said seriously. If you don't rest, this ankle will get worse. The infection could spread. You could develop sepsis. You could lose the leg entirely. You could die. Is that what you want? To leave your 3 children with no mother? No, but then you will rest. Doctor's orders. No arguments. Mama Helen stood up, her walking stick tapping tap. You heard the doctor. Give her all the medication she needs. Do everything necessary. I'll handle the bill. Yes, ma'am, Dr. Okafor said, already preparing to start the treatment. An hour later, Grace emerged from the treatment room with her leg in a proper white medical cast from ankle to mid-calf. She had crutches tucked under her arms and a plastic bag full of medications, antibiotics, painkillers, anti-inflammatory drugs, wound cleaning supplies. At the reception desk, the bill was presented. Grace couldn't help but glance at it. Her heart almost stopped. 48,700 naira. 48,000 naira. That was more than she earned in a month from all 3 of her jobs combined. She felt dizzy. The room started spinning. How would she ever pay this back? Even if she worked double shifts for a year, she couldn't. Here you go, Mama Helen said cheerfully, pulling out a thick wad of crisp naira notes from her handbag like she was buying plantain chips from a roadside vendor. She counted them out carefully. 48, 49, 50,000. Keep the change for your trouble. The receptionist's hands shook as she counted the money. Thank you, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. You're welcome. Now give me the receipt and make it 3 copies. I need them for my records. And write everything clearly. Date, time, service rendered. Everything. I don't like sloppy receipts. Yes, Ma. Grace just stood there, balanced there on her crutches, in complete shock. This woman had just paid 50,000 naira like it was nothing, like she was buying bread. Without hesitation, without complaint. Who was she? In the car on the way back, Grace finally found her voice. Ma, she said quietly, staring at the cast on her leg, I don't know how to thank you for everything, for the food, for the hospital, for being kind to my children. I don't have the words. You don't need words, Mama Helen said simply. Just get better. That's all the thanks I need. But Ma, the hospital bill, I have to pay you back. I don't know how long it will take, but I'll work extra hours. I'll save every naira. If you mention paying me back one more time, Mama Helen interrupted, her voice getting that dangerous edge. I will tell Johnson to stop this car right now, and I will beat you with my walking stick until you see sense. Do you want that? No, Ma, Grace said quickly, her eyes wide. Good, because I'm serious. You're my daughter now. I claimed your children as my grandchildren, which makes you my daughter. And mothers don't charge daughters for helping them. That's not how family works. Grace's eyes filled with tears again. She seemed to cry a lot these days. Everything made her cry, but these were good tears, grateful tears. Now, Mama Helen continued, the doctor said you need to rest for 3 to 4 weeks. But you said you have 3 jobs. Tell me about these jobs. What exactly do you do? Grace sighed. I clean offices at night, Ma, for a cleaning company, From 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., 5 nights a week, they pay me 30,000 naira a month. Mama Helen's eyes went wide. 30,000? For 6 hours a night, 5 nights a week? That's practically slave wages. I know, Ma, but it's the best I could get without a degree. During the day, I sell fruits by the roadside near the junction on Herbert Macaulay Way. I buy oranges, mangoes, bananas in bulk from the market and sell them. On a good day, I make maybe 500 naira profit. On a bad day, she shrugged. Nothing. Sometimes I even lose money. In the third job, on weekends, I wash clothes for a big madam in one of the estates. She pays me 5,000 naira a month. My hands are always raw from the scrubbing, but it's steady money. Mama Helen did the math in her head. 30,000 plus approximately 15,000 from fruit selling, if she was lucky, plus 5,000 from washing. 50,000 naira a month for 3 jobs, for working basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And out of that 50,000, Mama Helen said slowly, you have to pay rent, buy food, send your children to school, and send money to your sick mother in the village? Yes, Ma, Grace said quietly, looking out the window, shame written all over her face. How much is your rent? 15,000 naira a month, Ma. So you're left with 35,000 for everything else? Yes, Ma. How much do you send to your mother? I try to send at least 10,000 a month for her medicine, sometimes more if she needs to see a doctor. So you're left with 25,000 for food, transport, school supplies, everything else for you and 3 children? Yes, Ma. Mama Helen was quiet for a long moment. Then she said very softly, my dear, how are you even alive? Grace let out a short, bitter laugh. I don't know, Ma. Some days I ask myself the same question. And the children's father? The useless goat who left you? Does he send anything, any support at all? No, Ma, I haven't seen him or heard from him in 7 years. Not since I told him I was pregnant and he gave me money to get rid of it. Her voice got very small. I kept the babies instead. He disappeared after that, changed his number, moved away. I tried to find him, but it was like he vanished into thin air. Mama Helen's grip on her walking stick tightened. If I ever meet that boy, I will destroy him. I will break both his legs. I will break his arms. I will break everything that can be broken, useless, irresponsible goat. Grace almost smiled despite everything. This old woman's righteous anger on her behalf was comforting somehow. They arrived back at Grace's building. Johnson helped Grace out of the car and supported her as she hobbled on her crutches toward the entrance. Mama Helen followed, her walking stick tapping. Tap, tap, tap. As they climbed the stairs, which was now very difficult with Grace on crutches, Mama Helen said, now listen to me carefully. You cannot work for the next 4 weeks. Doctor's orders. But she held up her hand to stop Grace's protest. I'm going to give you money enough to cover what you would have earned from all 3 jobs, plus extra for your mother's medicine, plus extra for food and anything else you need. Ma, I can't accept. Tap went the walking stick on the stairs. What did I say about arguing with me? But Ma, tap, tap. I'm not hearing it. You're going to take the money and you're going to rest and you're going to get better. That's final. No arguments, no discussion. Case closed. If you argue one more time, I'll throw you down these stairs myself. Grace knew when she was beaten. Yes, Ma. Thank you, Ma. Good girl. You learn fast. I like that. True to her word, Mama Helen returned, not once, not twice, but almost every other day for the next 3 weeks. Each time she came like a hurricane in a wrapper. Second day after the hospital, Mama Helen arrived with Johnson carrying 3 huge bags. I've brought food for the week. Rice, beans, yam, plantain, chicken, fish, vegetables, Fruit, oil, seasoning, everything. Johnson, put them in the kitchen area. Grace, have you taken your antibiotics today? Show me. Show me. Don't lie to me. Let me see you take them right now in front of my face. Fourth day, Mama Helen arrived with different bags. I've brought clothes for the children. Look at these uniforms. They're holding together with prayer. These shoes have holes. Holes! What kind of nonsense is this? A child's feet should not touch the ground through their shoes. Here, new uniforms, new shoes, new socks, new everything. Children, try them on. If they don't fit, I'm taking them back and getting the right size. Sixth day, Mama Helen arrived with a small woman in tow. This is Nurse Beatrice. She's going to check your ankle. Take off the cast. Let her see. Nurse, look at it carefully. Is the swelling going down? Is the infection clearing? Should we go back to the hospital? Eighth day, Mama Helen arrived with more food. You people are eating, yes? Grace, you look like you've gained some weight. Good. You were too thin, like a broom. I could see your bones. Eat more. Children, is your mother eating? Don't let her skip meals. 10th day, Mama Helen arrived with yet more bags. I've brought books. These children need proper books to read, not these torn old things. Here, new reading books, workbooks, pencils, pens, erasers, sharpeners. Education is important. They need good materials. 12th day, Mama Helen arrived and just sat with them. I'm not bringing anything today. I'm just visiting. Tell me, how are you really doing? Are you in pain? Do you need more medicine? Are the children behaving? Grace, are you resting? Don't lie to me. I can tell when someone is lying. Your face does a thing, a twitch right there. I saw it. 14th day, Mama Helen arrived with an envelope. This is for your mother in the village, 20,000 naira. For medicine and food. Give me her number. I'll call her myself and make sure she received it. I don't trust your Uncle Men, and money don't mix well. They always find a way to mismanage it. 16th day, Mama Helen arrived and inspected everything. Let me see this room. Have you cleaned? Of course you've cleaned. You clean everything, even with a broken leg. Stubborn woman, you should be resting, but I see you've swept and arranged. Why are you so stubborn? Johnson, carry this bucket of water outside and throw it away. It's been sitting for 2 days. 18th day, Mama Helen arrived and cooked with Grace. Teach me how you make your stew. Mine tastes good, but yours tastes better. What's your secret? On, you're putting that much pepper. My mouth is burning just watching you. Okay, I see. You fry the tomatoes first before adding them. Smart. Write this down. I'm learning. 20th day, Mama Helen arrived and the cast came off. Thank God, finally, that cast was making me nervous. It looked like it was suffocating your leg. Can you move your ankle? Slowly. Not like that. You'll break it again. Yes, like that. Good. Does it hurt a little? That's normal. You haven't used it in 3 weeks. We'll take it slow. 21st day. Mama Helen arrived and watched Grace try to walk without crutches. Careful. Hold the wall. Don't rush. Rome wasn't built in a day. Your leg needs to remember how to work. Yes, good. You're doing it. Look at you, walking like a real person again. Praise God. And every single time, Grace tried to thank her, tried to express her overwhelming gratitude. Mama Helen would wave her hand dismissively and say something like, "Thank me by getting better," or "Thank me by taking care of those beautiful children," or "Thank me by eating all that food I brought. Don't let it spoil. Wasting food is a sin." The children loved Grandma's visits. They would wait by the window, watching for her car. "Grandma is here," they would shout when they saw the black Mercedes pull up, and they would race down the stairs. Carefully, Mama Helen had banned running down those death trap stairs to meet her. "Grandma! My darlings, how are you? Did you go to school? Did you study? Did anyone trouble you? Tell me everything. And they would talk over each other, telling her about school, about their friends, about what they learned, about everything. And Mama Helen would listen to every word like they were telling her the secrets of the universe. Grace's ankle was healed. Not perfect. It still aches sometimes, especially when it rained or when she stood it for too long. But healed. She could walk. She could stand. She could work. Dr. Okafor had given her the all clear at her final checkup. The ankle has healed remarkably well, he said, examining it carefully. You're very lucky. If you'd waited even a week longer before getting treatment, the damage could have been permanent. Someone up there likes you. Yes, Grace said softly, thinking of Mama Helen. Someone definitely likes me. That evening, Grace made a decision. She had to go back to work. Not because she wanted to. God knows she didn't want to go back to selling fruits in the hot sun or cleaning dirty offices at night or washing clothes until her hands bled. But she had to. Mama Helen had been so generous. Too generous. She'd given Grace money for food, for rent, for her mother's medicine, for everything. She'd probably spent over 200,000 naira on them in just 3 weeks. Grace couldn't keep taking and taking and taking. It wasn't right. She had to support herself and her children. She had to be independent. So the next day, Grace bought fruits from the market, oranges, mangoes, bananas, and set up her usual spot by the junction on Herbert Macaulay Way. It felt strange to be back after 3 weeks. The sun felt hotter than she remembered, the exhaust fumes from passing cars more choking. Her ankle, though healed, ached after just an hour of standing, but she was working. She was earning. She was supporting her family. That had to count for something. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Mama Helen was in her Mercedes on the way to a business meeting. Something about a land deal in Lekki that needed her attention. Johnson was driving. She was reviewing some documents, her reading glasses perched on her nose. They were stopped at a traffic light near Herbert Macaulay Junction. Mama Helen glanced out the window absent-mindedly and froze. There by the side of the road, sitting on a low stool with fruits spread out on a cloth in front of her, was Grace, her daughter, the woman whose ankle had just healed 3 days ago, sitting in the hot sun selling oranges. Mama Helen's blood pressure skyrocketed. Johnson, she barked. Park the car, right now. Ma, Johnson looked confused. Park the car. Johnson quickly pulled over to the side of the road, narrowly avoiding a Danfo bus that honked angrily. Mama Helen threw open the car door and climbed out, her walking stick in hand, her face like thunder. She marched toward Grace, her walking stick hitting the ground with furious taps. Tap! Grace looked up at the sound. Her eyes went wide when she saw Mama Helen approaching like an avenging angel in a wrapper. Ma, she gasped, trying to stand up quickly. I didn't expect. Sit down, Mama Helen commanded. Grace sat. What? Mama Helen said, her voice dangerously quiet. Are you doing here? I'm working, Ma, Grace said nervously. Working? Mama Helen's voice went up. Several people on the street turned to stare. Your ankle just healed 3 days ago. The doctor said you should take it easy. You should be resting. And you're out here in this hot burning sun selling fruits? Have you lost your mind? Ma, please, I need to work. Need to work? Did I not give you money? Did I not take care of everything? Why are you out here roasting like suya in the sun? Ma, I can't keep taking from you. It's not right. I have to support myself and my children. I have to support yourself by killing yourself. Look at you. You're already sweating like a Christmas goat. Your ankle is probably swelling again as we speak. What kind of stubbornness is this? People were definitely staring now. A small crowd was forming, pretending not to watch, but absolutely watching. Who is that old woman? I don't know, but she's angry. Maybe not her daughter way run away from house? Shh, listen. Grace's face was red with embarrassment. Ma, please, not here. Not here. Where then? In private where you can keep doing foolish things? No, we're talking right now. Mama Helen took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. Grace, my daughter, look at me. Grace looked up, tears already forming in her eyes. I know you want to be independent, Mama Helen said, her voice softer now, but still firm. I know you don't want to be a burden, but accepting help is not weakness. Do you understand? It's not weakness. But Ma, let me finish. You've been carrying everything alone for 7 years. 7 years, working 3 jobs, raising 3 children, sending money to your sick mother all alone. Don't you think you have earned the right to rest? To let someone help you for once? I don't want you to think I'm taking advantage. Taking advantage? Mama Helen actually laughed, though there was no humor in it. My dear, if you were taking advantage, you would be sitting at home with your feet up, eating my food and asking for more money. But instead, your ankle just healed and you're already back out here in the sun. If anything, you're too proud, not taking advantage. Grace started crying, right there on the roadside in front of all the staring people. She cried, I just wanted to take care of my children, she sobbed. I don't want to be useless. I don't want them to suffer. Mama Helen's expression softened completely. She sat down on Grace's stool, squeezed herself onto it, really, since it was meant for one person, and put her arm around Grace's shoulders. Listen to me, she said quietly. You are not useless. You are not a burden. And your children are not suffering. They're happy, happier than they've been in years probably. Do you know why? Because their mother is finally resting, finally healing, finally not working herself to death. She tilted Grace's chin up with her finger. I want to offer you something, a proper job with proper pay and proper working conditions. Will you listen? Grace nodded, unable to speak through her tears. But not here, Mama Helen said, standing up. Not on this filthy roadside with all these nosy people watching like we're a Nollywood movie. Come to my house tomorrow. After you drop the children at school, we'll talk properly. Yes? Yes, Ma, Grace whispered. Good. Now pack up these fruits. Johnson will drive you home. And I don't want to see you back on this roadside until we've talked. Do you hear me? Yes, Ma. Good. Mama Helen stood up, addressing the crowd that had gathered. Show is over. Go and find better things to do with your time. Useless people, always watching other people's business instead of facing their own. The crowd scattered like chickens. Johnson helped Grace pack up her fruits, and they drove her home. Mama Helen sitting beside her in the back seat, holding her hand the whole way. Thank you for watching, besties. What do you think about this episode? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. Comment episode 3 to see what happens next.